many open world franchises that understand one simple idea as well as just cause. Sometimes the most fun thing a game can do is just simply hand players a great sandbox, let them quick complete mayhem however they want. That's it. For like nearly 2 decades, Rico Rodriguez has been flying across massive islands with the grappling hook in one hand, rocket launcher in the other one, and just enough explosives to level an entire military base before review time he launched. That ridiculous sense of just freedom became the series' identity. It never really tried to compete with grounded crime games or realistic shooters. It embraced over-the-top action from the very beginning of the game. And because of that, it built one of the most unique gameplay formulas in modern gaming. It's also why so many players continue asking for a true sequel, despite the series remaining, well, pretty much quiet for many years. The last mainline entry, Just Cause 4, launched in 2018 with plenty of ambitious ideas, including a great dynamic weather system, some massive tornadoes, improved traversal, larger military conflicts, etc. While many players still enjoy the familiar chaos, the game also received criticism for the technical issues, the repetitive mission design, and the removal of some progression systems that made Just Cause 3 so great actually. And ever since, the franchise has been almost completely silent, leaving fans wondering why Rico Rodriguez would ever return for another adventure. So, first things first, Avalanche Studios has not officially announced a new Just Cause game. However, the studio has confirmed through recent job listings that it is actively developing this unannounced AAA open world project, leading many fans to speculate that the series could eventually return, even though nothing has been confirmed. At the same time, former Avalanche co-founder has suggested that a direct Just Cause 5 may be unlikely given how much the studio has changed over the years, so everything regarding a sequel should still be treated as speculation until this or a official reveal happens. Even so, I would say, it's easy to understand why people haven't stopped asking for another game. Very few franchises give the same level of creative freedom, like the grappling hook, which remains one of the greatest movement mechanics ever designed because it constantly encourages experimentations instead of focusing players into just one specific playstyle. One player might attach fuel tanks to helicopters before sending them crashing into enemy headquarters, while someone else uses the wingsuit to silently glide over an entire military installation before triggering complete chaos from the inside. Those moments aren't carefully scripted by the developers, they happen naturally because the game's systems work together in ways that constantly surprise the player. So look, a sequel doesn't need to reinvent that formula, it just simply needs to expand it in some meaningful ways. The grappling hook, for example, already feels almost perfect. Modern hardware could make its physics much more believable by allowing players to create even larger chain reactions, Buildings could collapse on stages instead of disappearing after reaching a damage threshold. Bridges might break apart piece by piece depending on where explosives are placed and stuff like that. And rather than relying on scripted destruction, the world itself could become far more reactive to whatever ridiculous ideas players come up with, is what I'm saying. Traversal also has always been another major strength of the series. Like, flying with the wingsuit remains one of the most, greatest, probably one of the most satisfying ways to move through an open world game, especially when seamlessly transitioning between parachutes, vehicles, helicopters, and grappling or launches without ever touching the ground as you do it. So look, a new game could make that movement feel even smoother by introducing better momentum systems, like expanded aerial tricks, environments specifically designed around vertical exploration, mountain ranges, skyscrapers, big dams, offshore platforms, and densely populated cities. All would create different opportunities for players to just approach objectives from very completely unexpected directions. And of course, the world itself deserves to evolve beyond simply becoming larger. Bigger maps no longer impress players like they did back then. What matters is making every region feel distinct. So a future Just Cause could feature several interconnected territories with differing governments, climates, military forces, and civilian populations that respond differently to Rico's actions itself, where one region might erupt into open rebellion after enough enemy infrastructure has been destroyed, while another one could become heavily fortified, forcing players to adapt their strategy instead of repeating the same approach throughout the whole campaign. And the enemy AI also could become much more dynamic. Previous games often overwhelm players simply by spawning larger numbers of soldiers, but a sequel has the opportunity to make those encounters a lot more interesting. Military forces could coordinate attacks using drones, armored vehicles, helicopters, snipers, and specialized response teams, depending on the level of destruction Rico causes. Instead of just endlessly sending wave after wave of ordinary soldiers and stuff, which is just boring, the game could gradually escalate its response, creating the feeling that entire governments are now desperately trying to stop one incredibly dangerous man from dismembering the world military piece by piece. Obviously, vehicle variety has always been one of the franchise's greatest strengths. Today's technology could make every mission feel more meaningful. Cars, motorcycles, tanks, helicopters, fighter jets, boats, cargo aircrafts, construction equipment, and even experimental military vehicles all should handle differently while interacting naturally with the game's destruction systems. The story doesn't need to become dramatically darker either. One of the series' biggest strengths has always been balancing explosive action with a sense of humor that never really takes itself seriously, actually. Rico works because he understands exactly what kind of world he lives in. He's confident without becoming arrogant, capable without feeling invincible, charismatic without constantly trying to steal every scene. On another hand, co-op gameplay also feels like a natural direction for the series. Like, fans have imagined for years what it would be like to just create complete destruction alongside another friend, instead of just causing it all alone. Like, the idea of several players combining grappling stuff, wingsuits, vehicles and stuff is just like the perfect evolution. Not to mention, at number 12, visually, a new Just Cause could become one of the most spectacular sandbox games ever made. Perhaps the biggest opportunity, though, is simply reminding players why they fell in love with the franchise in the first place. Just Cause has never been about carefully following rules or completing objectives exactly as developers intended. It's about creativity, it's about experimenting with ridiculous ideas that somehow even work. It's about looking at an entire enemy base and immediately wondering how many different ways there are to bring the entire place crashing down. Whether Avalanche Studios eventually return to Rico or introduces an entirely new hero, the foundation already exists for something special. Modern hardware could do the best for this thing. Smarter AI, more advanced destruction, far more reactive environments, all could be included. But the heart of the series should remain exactly where it's always been. Give players an incredible playground, hand them outrageous tools, watch the unforgettable stories they create for themselves. That's what Just Cause has always been, done better than almost anything else. And that's exactly why a sequel feels like one of the industry's biggest missed opportunities in 2026.